Elon Musk builds, announces and offers rides to members of the public in purpose-built driverless robocabs. No pedals, no steering wheels, in a glitzy Disneyland setting, and the world shrugs it off, ridicules it even. Italy announces a single Fiat 500E in Brescia drove autonomously for 1 kilometre to a maximum of 30 kilometres an hour, that's 18.6 miles an hour, with a person sitting inside supervising the trip, and Europe's going crazy. Takes all sorts. I'm Dave, this is Dave Takes It On. Full self-driving robotaxis or robocabs. Yep, they're actually here already in China. Waymo operates in California, and Fiat does not want to be left out. Since they can't sell the Fiat 500E for the ridiculous price they demand that it fetches, and they never will, they've hit on the brainwave of turning them into robocabs. Now, pardon me for stating the obvious, but have any of them ever got into one of these? And with a couple of suitcases? Well, putting that aside, this is great news. Autonomy is being taken seriously. Regular viewers will already know my views on this subject. If 80% and more of all accidents are caused by humans, and 80% and more of the cost of a taxi trip is paid to the human taxi driver, then get rid of the human. We get cheap, safe motoring. EVs make all this possible. Well, I need to back up a step or two and answer the idiot in the room. No, full self-driving or autonomous self-driving, taxis, robocabs, they'll never be 100% safe. Almost nothing is. Today you could be sitting comfortably in your home, snug as a bug in Glasgow, and with Storm Eowyn, next door's roof slates could come flying through the air, crash through your front window, and impale you while you sit in your comfy armchair watching Strictly. There are no guarantees. But on the other hand, 37.8% of 150,000 accidents a year in the UK, according to one source, are caused by not looking, or rather, looking and not seeing the hazard, or looking, seeing the hazard and then misjudging. It's human error. Yeah, we cause over a third simply by not seeing the accident that's about to happen. Even more are caused by speeding. We either, find that rather suddenly the car couldn't stop in the time we expected it to take, or the car just wouldn't go round that bend or roundabout as fast as we thought it should. Once again, our fault. And a frightening number are caused by impairment, where we feel perfectly fine, but the drugs or alcohol we've taken disagree with us. For the smug amongst us, over 2/3 will have an accident in their lifetime. Most will be men, and the majority will be young men. But we do far better in the UK than most other countries, but not better than Norway, where for more than 80% of accidents are caused by drink, drugs, not looking, speeding, driving through red lights, driving too close, catching up on social media, putting on makeup, closing the gap to the car in front to keep the idiot alongside from forcing his way in, checking the map, forcing my way into an ever-closing gap, etc., 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 then a robocab will stop all these. It should leave just those acts of God that we simply cannot avoid. The tree that just crashes down immediately in front of us, or the pothole that opens up underneath us. And yeah, the oft-quoted child that dashes out without looking directly in front of the car with zero chance of stopping. Well, money figures largely in this. First, the sheer cost of accidents. Every single bump and scrape costs someone money somewhere. But even if we don't crash, we still have to pay. According to multiple sources, the average cost to actually just run a car in the UK is about 50p a mile. This includes the cost of the car, including interest, then petrol, diesel, insurance, servicing, repairs, depreciation, vehicle excise duty, parking fees, tolls, just washing it, antifreeze, screen wash, subscriptions to the AAA, fines, etc. That all comes to about £3,500 for an average of about 7,000 miles. It's about 50 pence a mile. And this shows a rise of about 12% over 2020 figures. Depreciation's up, fuel is down, repairs are up, There are various sources are used for this: Nimblefins, Transport for London, AAREC, and a number of finance companies. They all come up with very similar figures. Yeah, I know you can go out and you can buy an old banger for 800 quid that will never depreciate any further. It's already a rock bottom scrap value, and you can service it yourself with used parts, used tyres, and you can treat insurance as optional. After all, you're a good driver, you're never going to have a crash anyway. But huge vast majority of us don't. 48 pence per mile is the figure. So why then does the average taxi ride cost between £2 and £10 a mile? Manchester is £5.80 for 1 mile, £16.20 for 5 mile, and £29.20 for 10. Transport for London figures quote London £7.60 to £13 for 1 mile, £11.60 to £19.60 for 2 mile, £20 to £34 for 4 miles. Heathrow to central London, a journey of 16 miles costs between £61 and £114. Or the same journey via Uber is between £50 and £90, not using a black cab. Yet for the Uber, the actual cost for 16 miles is 48 pence a mile. That's less than a tenner. And if we double the 48 pence per mile for a black cab, as everything probably costs twice as much, that actual cost should still be less than 20 quid. Well, the answer is, of course, it's the driver's wages. And not for a second do I begrudge them a penny of that. They have a tough job. They work horrible hours. They often suffer abuse. And probably far too often they have to valet their cars to get rid of unmentionables. So no, I'm not suggesting they do not deserve their wages. I am merely pointing out that the huge bulk of the taxi fare that you and I pay is for their wages. Oh, plus another hidden, the return journey. If a driver waits for his fares at the airport and drives them to their hotels, then he has to return empty to the airport. Empty and, more importantly, unpaid. Possibly up to an hour out of the driver's shift. Oh, of course, driver cannot drive more than a set number of hours a day. They're restricted by law. And by being human, they need to rest, eat and sleep. And in the UK, they cannot work legally more than 10 hours a day. And they must take breaks. Well, robocabs are very different as a business model. First, they're very much cheaper. There's no steering wheel, no pedals, no door mirrors. They are stripped out versions that are designed to be fast, easy and cheap to build. Tesla is targeting 30,000. That is about half the price of a new black cab and cheaper than a conventional new EV used as a rideshare. Well, the battery can be quite small. The no taxi at present is driving at 30 miles an hour for every single one of the full 10 hours every shift every day, therefore covering 300 miles a day. UK average is actually near to 100 miles, some doing 150. I am fully aware that the robocab can operate 24 hours a day, but there are not fares available for all robocabs 24 hours a day. Yeah, there are some passengers round the clock, but most airports operate noise reduction policies overnight with reduced flights, and most nightclubs do eventually close. Robocabs will have two huge benefits. First, they can charge their battery pack overnight at really cheap rates. Even the Tesla public rates are priced at about 30 pence per kilowatt hour, making fuel costs half the price of running a diesel cab. But in reality, if they're owned by Tesla, run by Tesla, they're going to buy it much cheaper. It's going to be a cost. But in addition, with wireless charging technology already in existence and with V2G technology also already in existence, they will simply trade electricity as part of a huge virtual grid. It's already being done in Texas. When parked, they'll be earning money. When driving, they'll be earning money. 24 hours a day, they'll be earning money. And what about all those who swear blind they'll never get in a robocab with no driver? That's fine, your choice. Heathrow to central London, black cab with a driver, 100 quid. Uber with a driver, 80 quid. Robocab, 20 quid. Free world, you choose. Well, Italy is just realising this is the future, and we've seen it all before. Think about banks. You see, once we physically went to the banks to pay in and draw out our money, our wages, in the form of cash. Then we had our wages paid into the bank automatically. Then we got cash machines so we could take out our money whenever we wanted. Then we got direct debit so we could make payments that we made regularly and we could forget about them. Then we got bank cards with chip and pin. Then we went contactless. Then we dropped the cards and went banking app on smartphones. And then we went banking app contactless. Then the cash machines started disappearing. Then the banks started closing. Then the banking staff started disappearing. And we've ended up with self-service banks like self-service supermarket checkouts. And then we stopped going to banks altogether. Well, I sold a few of my grandkids unused toys recently on social media, and the guy who arrived to buy them, he used his mobile banking app to pay my mobile banking app in just a few seconds, the tenner I was asking. Robocabs are on the way. Europe has now seen that. Let's wake up in the UK before we get left behind. Let me give you the future of something like a holiday abroad. It's 3 a.m. We've booked an early flight and a robocab arrives to take us to the airport. It drops us off right outside the door. It's a £5. In Malaga, we step out the airport doors and a robocab is waiting to take us to our hotel. That's another £5. There's no communal shuttle, no bus driving halfway around the region, calling us 17 other hotels on the way, taking an hour. And before anyone calls me a hypocrite, EasyJet, amongst others, are already trialling renewable energy passenger jets that are likely to be in service in the next 5 years. Hydrogen jets are already under trial. And with solid-state batteries now exceeding 400 watt-hours per kilogram, that's the level at which they become viable for aircraft. DHL already have parcels being delivered by battery-powered aircraft on shorter haul runs. Just remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. We're talking about the future, but it's now not that far away. I'm Dave. And thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please click the like button. If you've got any comments, please leave them down below. If you would like to see more, please subscribe. And a big thank you to our Patreon members. As always, it's thanks to you supporting the channel that allows us to do what we do. So thanks very much for watching. I'm Dave.